Hello everyone and welcome to this video. So I just wanted to do a little video because last night me and George watched a film, and the outcome of that film and everything that happened to bring that outcome in just blew me away. And this is a film that's been out for a while. I did try and watch it years ago, but I only lasted in there about 20 minutes until, I couldn't tack it and turned it off. But I felt like it was the right time to watch it, and boy, I'm so glad I did. So the film I'm talking about is called The Impossible. It's about the true events of the tsunami that took place on Boxing Day in 2004. I think it was 2004. But it's about the story of a family, and it's a true story about a family and what happened to them. They were staying at a resort, and, everything was wonderful. They got there on Christmas Eve. It was all beautiful. The weather was stunning. The sea was amazing. They were having a great time. And then they were in the resort pool area on Boxing Day. The dad, who was played by Ewan McGregor, was in the pool with the two kids. The other kid, because they got 3 children, the other child was, by the mum somewhere. But the mum, who's played by Naomi Watts, was kind of hunched down because she could hear something going on. She was wondering what was happening. She felt the wind change. She saw the birds move. She felt, as a motherly instinct, as we do as well as divine feminines, we feel something's coming. And then she crouched down by this big glass panel, and then the sea came in. And, tsunamis are so scary, but it's not the water itself, it's the damage the water does. All the debris that flies around and, can hit you, and it causes chaos. And, the last time I tried to watch this, and this was years ago, when the film kind of came out, and I always remember, my sister came over and we sat down with my mum and we were fully intending to watch this film together. But as soon as the tsunami hit and, I saw the damage that was done to the mother's body, and I just turned, I had to go out of the room. At the time I was just like, I can't deal with that. I'm going to bury my head in the sand, which is what a lot of us do on this journey, before awakening. And that's what the masculines do as well. So the reason it's called The Impossible is the way that everything falls into place during this story, which blows my mind, because we're being reminded that with God all things are possible, and that these things come in and it makes us question God. It makes us question our faith and things. We think, why has that happened to me? Why? But we're being reminded, whatever we go through, whether it's something physical or a disaster like that, or something emotional, or something within a relationship, or we lose a loved one, or we go through an illness, or something comes in, we learn through it spiritual lessons. And we're also there to understand things in a deeper way, to bring a healing into ourselves and others too. So the tsunami hit, and there is spoilers here, so if you haven't seen it, don't watch the rest of this video until you've watched the film. But the mother kind of finds her son Thomas, who's the older boy, and Lucas, I think it's Lucas. If I got the right names wrong, you know why. It's just channeling the energy. So she finds her older son, and they are kind of on their story of what's going on. So they manage to get to a tree and, survive the water hitting everything. And when the water settles down and they get down from this tree, and she's very badly hurt, she's got really bad injuries to a leg and to a chest area, from the debris and, hitting tree branches and all kinds of things. And he's got mild injuries. Then they hear a child crying, and they go and find this beautiful kind of child, only young, called Daniel, and they bring him to safety too. So they rescue this child, and then they get taken to the local hospital, which is overrun with, people with casualties, and it's just chaos. Remember, this is a true story. It's very hard to watch. So there's just chaos going on. And it shows how, she's really, not in a good place at all, really. She needs to have surgery and she's struggling. And it's the story really of how that boy Lucas helps others while she is in that hospital bed. He goes out and he starts talking to people who have been separated from their families and loved ones. And he goes searching for these people to see if he can bring them back together. And he reunites a son and his dad, which is really beautiful to watch. And, this lady, the mother bonds with another lady who's in the next bed as her, and it's just really powerful. And then it goes to the dad, Ewan McGregor, and he's alive, and the two kids are alive, but obviously there's big separation, they're nowhere near each other. So he starts searching for his wife, and the kids get separated. He sends them to the mountains to be safe with, other people from the resort that they were staying in. And he makes that decision to leave them and go searching for the wife. And then they get taken away from the group that they were in, and they get put in a big truck with other children. And, they're going, who knows where. But the way that the way the universe works, it just blew my mind. Honestly, after I was just thinking about it, because in this life, on our journey, whether you are a light worker, a twin flame, or you just tapped into this because you love the film The Impossible and you really enjoyed it, and, not enjoyed it as in, because it's realistic, it's hard to watch, it really did happen. But from the point of view, wow, how it all happens, and they survived there. It's fascinating to watch it because they survived an impossible situation. And it seems impossible how they all reunited and came back together, but they did. Why? Because with God, all things are possible. So the dad is searching every hospital, trying to find his wife and trying to, kind of seek out his son and find out what's going on. And they get to a hospital that they haven't searched yet, and he makes a friend along the way, a guy who's also lost his family, and, he helps him, he gives him the use of his mobile phone. And again, the kindness of strangers comes into it, especially when she is being taken to the hospital, the kindness of strangers, just the way that, one of the ladies dresses her in a top and covers her up because all the dress is ripped and she's exposed. The kindness from strangers. And this is the thing, how when these kind of things happen, terrible events happen, it brings people together, regardless of, culture, sex, age, all these things. They just go out of the window because, we just have this compassion within us to be there for each other and support each other. As Jesus said, love your neighbour as yourself. And that was really touching to me, to see the kindness of these strangers. And, these strangers have helped the dad to, come to this hospital. And he said, let me just have 5 minutes to go and have a look round and then I'll be back. And, they were like, we're going in 5 minutes. So he had 5 minutes to go, and he's looking around, and, the son who was with the mother pulled the curtain around her. And because he did that, and he walked off to try and help other people. When the dad was close by her, they were pretty much next to each other. She was in the bed and he was outside of the bed area. But because the curtain was on, he couldn't see it. So again, nearly found each other. And then he walked off, and he was walking out of the hospital, and the son, Lucas, the older son, noticed him and started chasing him. But he went outside and there was people everywhere, vehicles everywhere, chaos everywhere, and he couldn't locate him. So he thought, I'm never going to see him again, in his mind. Now, while all this was going on, there was also a car pulled up with all those kids on, where the other two sons were, just by chance. And he said, I need to go to the toilet. One of the little boys needed to go to the loo. So he jumped out of the back and he ran off to go to the toilet now, to kind of have a pee by a tree. And the other son was like, what you doing, to his brother. But everything happens for a reason. If he hadn't wanted to go to the toilet, he may not have got off the vehicle, and the things that happened next wouldn't have happened. So he had his wee, by this tree, and then they were getting back onto the vehicle. And then the boys looked around and they noticed their older brother. And they started shouting him. And then they got reunited, which was so touching. And then the dad got back into the truck and he was going. He didn't see them, he was going. And the engine wouldn't work, so that they couldn't go. And then he saw the what was going on with the boys reuniting. And he got off and they were reunited. And then Lucas took them to the mother and they were all reunited. And it just blew my mind, because I was like, wow, the universe stopped the engine of the truck from working so that, they couldn't go. They were meant to all meet back up. And, she went through surgery and survived. And at the end of the film, it showed a beautiful picture where they were celebrating a birthday and they were all together. And the universe just blows my mind. It just blows my mind that, wow. And, I was just flabbergasted. And George was like, it's amazing that they all survived, which it is, but it's even more amazing how the universe brought them all back together. And I'm sure, they would have come back together eventually anyway, wherever they were meant to, like if they were meant to go back to their home and they'd be reunited there. But it was just amazing to me how all these little events happened. There was a red ball as well, a red ball that the boy was playing with in the pool before it all happened. And the dad noticed that red ball too. And there was little things. It was like how the universe gives you signs and guides and directs you exactly where you're meant to be. So a tragedy, but also a beautiful story because it was reunited. And also the little boy Daniel, that Lucas saw him at the hospital reunited with his dad. And he lost him somewhere, they lost him. He got taken somewhere by someone. So they didn't know what had happened to him. And he got reunited with his dad. And I said to George, wouldn't it be amazing if, because the woman who was next to the mother in the bed, I said, wouldn't it be amazing if that's Daniel's mother? The universe works in these crazy, crazy ways. So, yeah, and the thing was as well, you got the children bonding with other children. And I thought, these are people, they're going to have this experience, they're going to hold that in the heart forever. It's going to be that painful event that they've got to heal and understand and grow from, but also that brought so much love in and helped them to realise that, how much love is more important than fear. And little things like when, the mother and father were they were obviously in a really loving relationship, but there's also those little things that get in the way. Life gets in the way sometimes. Sometimes we nag at each other and say things to each other. But it shows how, when something like that happens, you realise just how powerful the love is and that love can conquer all. And that's really why I wanted to do a little video, because the real thing I got from it was the thing that's impossible is possible with God. And that was not just them surviving, which was a miracle in itself, but the way that the universe brought them back together as a family at the exact right time. So in your life, trust your journey. It made me realise more that there's a plan. And I know that anyway, but to watch that film and to know it's a true story and to see all those events pan out, I realised that there really is nothing to fear. Even when something bad happens, there's a blessing that comes out of it. And we learn from those things, and there's always God's plan. And I know now why I wasn't meant to watch it all of those years ago. And I was meant to watch it, when I did watch it this time, because I understood it more from a spiritual point of view. Very powerful. And that's why sometimes if we watch something and it may not make sense then, and then we watch something again and it makes sense now, it's because we see it from a higher perspective, from a spiritual viewpoint, and from a much higher point of view. I hope this helps. Have a great day. Trust your journey. Trust the process of your life, because God has got you and you are safe. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.